Hi, I'm Scott from sawsonskates.com. Have you ever wanted to make your own picture frames, but were intimidated by miter cuts? Then my simple, no miter cut picture frame plan is for you. In this tutorial, you'll learn how to make picture frames using only 8 straight cuts. But before we get started, please follow all of the safety instructions for your tools and be sure to wear safety glasses. Ready? Let's get started. What's better than not dealing with miter cuts? Not worrying about measuring. The secret are these 2 jigs. You'll use the jigs to measure the frame pieces and for assembly. And once you have the jigs, you can make frames anytime you want. A couple of notes before we make some sawdust. First, I'm not a fan of end grain. Because these frames don't use any miter cuts, which would hide the end grain, I'm going to give you a few tips to avoid seeing end grain on your finished project. Of course, you can build these any way you like, but my recommendation is to first determine if your photo will be portrait or landscape, and then follow the directions on the jig. This way, the end grain will point towards the ceiling and the floor, and will yield a more polished look. The most exciting thing, other than being easy to make, is these frames can be made any size you want. This plan makes an 8x10 frame, but you can increase or decrease the measurements to standard size frames, or even make custom-sized frames. The first step is to make the jigs. You'll need to cut 2 pieces of MDF, or plywood, to make the face frame jig and the glass frame jig. Be sure to measure your glass before cutting the glass frame jig and adjust the size if necessary. The glass will need to easily fit in the glass frame. Please visit sawsonskates.com for the measurements of the jigs, list of supplies, and complete, easy-to-follow, step-by-step instructions for this project, and many more DIY projects. Once you have the jigs made, you can begin making the frame. Using the face frame jig, cut the horizontal face frame pieces. First, determine if your photo will be landscape or portrait. This demonstration shows a landscape frame. Position the wood on the end of the jig, mark the other end, and cut to length. Cut a second horizontal piece to the same length, and place on the other end of the jig. With the horizontal pieces still in place, position the vertical piece, mark the other end, and cut to length. Cut a second vertical piece to the same length. Now we can assemble the face frame. The easiest way to do this is with pocket holes and pocket screws. Drill pocket holes in the horizontal pieces, apply glue, clamp the pieces to the jig, and attach using pocket screws. If you don't have a way to make pocket holes, you can assemble the frames using finish nails. Apply glue and clamp the pieces to the jig. If you're not using a nail gun, pre-drill holes in the horizontal pieces and then attach using finish nails. We can now move on to making the glass frame. Using the glass frame jig, cut the horizontal glass frame pieces. Note that the glass frame pieces are set on edge. So just like you did for the face frame, position the wood on the end of the jig, mark the other end, and cut to length. Cut the second horizontal piece to the same length, and place on the other end of the jig. With the horizontal pieces still in place, position the vertical piece, mark the other end, and cut to length. Cut a second vertical piece to the same length. To assemble the glass frame, apply glue, clamp the pieces to the jig, and attach using 1 1/4 inch finish nails. The last step is to attach the glass frame to the face frame. Pre-drill countersink holes on the back of the glass frame and attach to the face frame using glue and 2-inch wood screws. The glass frame should set in approximately a 1/2 inch from each side of the face frame. Here's a few examples of the finished frames. They can be easily matched to the decor of your room by staining, painting, or leaving them natural. Just insert the glass, mat, photo, use some push pins to hold everything together, and hang on the wall and admire your work. Plus, they make great last-minute gifts because they're so quick and easy to make. Thank you for checking out my tutorial about how to make a no miter cut picture frame. Please visit sawsonskates.com for the measurements of the jigs, list of supplies, and complete, easy-to-follow, step-by-step instructions for this project and many more DIY projects. Have a question about the frames? Please send questions to scott@sawsonskates.com. See you next time!